Fashion Week was originally called 7th on 6th, which was moving 7th Avenue to 6th Avenue back in 1993. So we're going on our 18th year in these tents in Bryant Park. But the week as an organized, modernized, centralized Fashion Week came about because of an accident back in '91 in Michael Kors showroom, in Michael Kors show space. He had rented a place way downtown, a loft space that was empty and raw concrete, and when he turned the bass music on for his fashion show, chunks of the ceiling started to crumble, and plaster came down on the supermodel shoulders, Naomi, Cindy, Linda, everybody. And the editors in the front row who got plaster in their laps didn't like that so much, and they took the industry to task the next day and said, you know, we live for fashion, we don't want to die for it. And so I had just joined the CFDA as executive director at that time, and it seemed like my job description had just changed. I grew up in a home where my dad was in the business. He was a salesman for women's scarves. So I grew up with a lot of scarves in my life.
Which we need today.
Today you can't have too many. His brothers were all in the garment district, which is now we call the Fashion Center here in the city. And so I did get my first open door through that. My very first job in the industry was at Mademoiselle magazine when I got out of college. I was selected to be one of the 20 guest editors, which was at that time a very prestigious magazine competition for college-bound young women all over the country who were smart and bright. I followed in the footsteps of people like Betsy Johnson and Sylvia Plath and Ally McGraw. It was great. If that existed today, it would be a reality TV show. The Bill Blass show that was in these tents when it was his last show when he was retiring, and it was a really, really special show. In a morning, not unlike the weather we're having today almost, but it was Hurricane Floyd. It was a really fierce hurricane coming through New York, and the winds and rains were beyond anything. And it was very tough getting everybody in the venues, all of Bill's clients and women who he dressed, and fabulous people, and the whole industry wanted to send him off properly. And we weren't sure that we'd ever get that show up because the weather was so intense. And he was fine backstage pacing with a cigarette and said, it's okay, Fern, we could shut it down now. I've done the collection, I don't need it. And I said, no, you're not going out this way. And we finally were able to get the show up and get everybody in and safe and sound. And it was one of the most beautiful fashion shows I remember, with beautiful red, white, and blue music, and Gershwin and Lerner Lowe, American composers. Aww. And it was just, there wasn't a dry eye in the house, and a really long, wonderful standing ovation. It was really a beautiful event. There are some extraordinary people in this business, some really generous souls, and real talent, and this is an engine that just drives the economy, not only in New York, but in this country and in the world. Fashion is a communicator. Fashion talks to the world, and it says a lot to a lot of people, and it makes people feel good and makes them